we all are living in a radical situation. A radical situation is a moment, a period of collective awakening produced by two different factors. One is a very difficult situation. Jobs, assets, expectations are gone. Solid safeties defining, cementing social life melt into thin air. But second, increasing evidence that what the powers that be are doing aggravate the situations instead of solving our problems. These two factors combined produce this collective awareness. Oh, yes, that's a difference. Produces this collective awareness that represents a crack in the dominant mentality. In that kind of condition, there is nothing much more important than to challenge the institutional production of truth. Truth being, as Foucault explained, not what is right or wrong, but the statements through which we govern ourselves and others. The kind of statements constructed by the structure of domination, the structure of the domination of our conscience. And then what they produce, the truth they produce becomes our assumptions, our presuppositions, our beliefs, our myths, the way we behave. If someone comes, for example, and he says, we need to help these poor Africans. Oh yes, that's a great idea. And then for that, we need to build 1,000 schools. Like this.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, now. Then we need to build 1,000 schools in Africa with our curriculum. Oh, great, that's a magnificent idea without further thinking, because that is how our mind has been constructed by the structure of domination. As a consequence, because we have those tinted and tainted glasses to see the world, we don't see what is happening. We want change, we want radical change, we want perhaps a revolution, but then because we are trapped in these eyes, we don't see the ongoing insurrection, the ongoing revolution that is happening before our eyes. Part of it is because we have been waiting for the old revolution, for the old way of doing a revolution. Since the Pope Gregory VII in the 12th century attempted the first total reform of the world, the kind of revolutions that we had in the last 200 years, we are waiting for something like that. And that kind of revolution is no longer visible. And then we don't see what is happening, the real revolution that is going around us. We learned, we were educated in the idea that we can and should lead the masses, that the people are waiting for our guidance, that we need to bring them the right message to mobilize them in the right direction. That is the Leninist paradigm. He mentioned the 12 intellectuals that will guide the masses around. That message is over. Perhaps the most radical statement of the Zapatistas is that statement in which they say, we are but ordinary men and women. And because we are ordinary men and women, then we are non-conformist, rebels, dreamers. Yes, we can say, yes, that overweight women in Walmart buying all her shit there. That is a dreamer, a rebel? Yes, said the Zapatistas, yes. The rebellion can be dormant, can be latent, but it is there. And it is ordinary men and women that can produce the change in the world. Someone says that the French Revolution started with when one peasant, only one peasant, refused to bow before the Lord and laughed when someone said that God himself appointed a king. That is the beginning of the revolution, and that is what is happening before our eyes. That is what we are seeing, but we are not seeing. That is, let me use an example. What kind of change we can expect. The great Uruguayan poet Eduardo Galeano wrote a beautiful poem, Global Fear, and in this terrible poem said that in these times of fear, there are some people afraid of hunger, and how not? There is 1 billion people that will go to bed tonight with an empty stomach. And then he said, the rest of us are afraid of eating, because we know what is in our plates. We know that all our bodies here in this room are full of poison, the kind of food they are serving us. What is what we can do? What is what we can wait? Where is our hope? Yes, I was centuries ago, in another incarnation, I was chairman of the board of UN agency. I was the youngest executive ever for IBM. I was in a very high position in the Mexican government. I know how they take the decisions there. Even if we have SAC in the British Parliament, I cannot put my hope in the British Parliament. I cannot put my hope in this kind of things. What is, I cannot wait for this question of food, this desperate condition of food. I cannot hope that Walmart or Monsanto will have a kind of moral epiphany and then they will change their behavior. Or that the government will start doing the right thing even if we put a lot of pressure on them. We have the experience. There were 30 million people in the streets to stop the war in Iraq and we could not stop anything. A few years ago, 3 years ago, you have the biggest mobilization in the history of the United States by the undocumented workers. And the situation was worse for them after that. We cannot wait that they will change their behavior. Even if we have great leaders, like Obama. It's very difficult to conceive a better leader than Obama. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's well prepared, he has a magnificent diploma, he is black, he's even guapo. But my son abandoned almost every other activity to work for the Obama campaign, and he is now frustrated and suffering because of what is happening. But he now reminds his friends that were also with him trying to elect Obama. Well, the question is that he told us what is happening. When he was a candidate, he told us. I'm not asking you to believe in me, I'm asking you to believe in you. And once in the White House, he said, I will not be able to fix anything, but you can. But we did not hear, my son says. After the election, in November the 5th, we said, oh, great, we elected a great president, this is magnificent, this is great, let's wait for him to fix anything. And of course, he cannot fix anything. And this is what is happening. We cannot wait. Of course, capital and the governments will make many concessions because they see the people mobilized, but they cannot fix anything. My hope is with the people. That is the people, ordinary men and women, that can change the situation in this planet, the origin situation in the food. I believe, for example, in Via Campesina, Helena, my friends tell me that they are today 800 million affiliated to Via Campesina. First, please try to imagine the biggest organization on earth to put in one single organization 800 million people without leaders and without activists. And then this next, the miracle, these people reached, oh God, 1 minute. These people reached consensus. They redefined food sovereignty. Again, what I'm doing?
Cutting out in the other room.
Yeah? Okay. Then the miracle, they reached consensus. They redefined food sovereignty. And it's pure peace and wisdom. What is food sovereignty for them? It is very simple. We need to define by ourselves, not the market, not the state, what we are going to eat. And second, we need to produce it. And this is exactly what is happening. This is what the people are doing today. 70% of the food we eat in the world today is produced by them, by these people, not by the big corporations. And this, we are advancing day after day. We don't see, for example, we see many things about Peru, but we don't see how these indigenous people in Peru, they occupied 1 million hectares and they are producing now 40% of the food in Peru. We don't see how in every aspect of the reality we can see here Here in the US, we can see in Pasadena, California, you can find one guy that is producing 3 tons of food of 400 vegetables in 362 square meters in the city. We don't see how kilometers of lawns where they have absorbed all the pesticides, more than agriculture, kilometers of lawns now are transformed and they're producing tomatoes and they are producing poblanos and many other things. We don't see what is happening everywhere because we are too busy seeing upstairs. We don't see how, of course, the Zapatistas have been creating a whole new world in the south of Mexico, where they are going beyond development, beyond globalization, beyond postmodernity. They are not really trying to shorten the distance between producers and consumers. They are trying to avoid, they are not trying to create an a better kind of economy, but they are trying to eliminate that terrible condition that reduces us to the condition of producers and consumers, to the economic conditions. They are trying to be again human beings. And they are saying we cannot have a decent, happy life within capitalism, even if it is localized capitalism. They are trying to do today, now, not in the future, not in a different society, today, what they are constructing now, right now, in the south of Chiapas, as we will discuss this afternoon in the workshop, is a world beyond capitalism and beyond socialism, where you can have a different kind of life. And we need, of course, to challenge all these different kind of things that they are blinding us. We need to challenge the idea that we live in a democratic society and we can change it democratically. Technically, what we have everywhere is something that can be described as democratic despotism. That is the kind of regime that we are suffering. Jefferson once said, when you have the people afraid of government, you have tyranny. And when you have the government afraid of people, you have freedom. We now have both tyranny and freedom because the governments are in panic because we are mobilized, and we are intimidated because this government panic are using a lot of violence. We need to recognize that the kind of capitalism that we have all around the world is state capitalism. That is what we use it to the category we use it to describe the Soviet Union. It is now today all over the world. That is savage capitalism with militarization and control. Yes, we need to, this is the end, I have no more time, but I want to conclude saying let's try to celebrate the new world emerging before our eyes. The kind of world that have been created by everywhere. I can use a few seconds more to end saying something that happened just a few months ago in Greece. October 28 is the national holiday in Greece. As always, as usual, they have the big parade, all the students marching. And then before the authorities this year, this month, instead of turning the face to the authorities to salute them, they turned the face to the other side, to the people. And then a friend of mine, Katerina, wrote to me her emotions of that day, and she wrote to me the following. And I want to share with you this very short statement. She wrote, how you organize a revolution, how you stop the destructive force of the powers that be, I don't know. But today in Greece, we are experiencing civil disobedience everywhere. We live within their system, we live among them, but we think, we act, we breathe as if we were beyond them, their closet world. We break every day the discipline they are trying to impose on us. We reject the rules. We live among them, but without them. They don't listen. We don't want to see them. They are still in power. They are taking the decisions against us and using violence. But we are no longer recognizing them. We are turning our face to another side, to ourselves. And this is what is happening everywhere, I think. Thank you.